Welcome back to 40 Million and a Tool YouTube channel. Today is the 1 year anniversary of the launching of the 40 Million and a Tool website and social media platforms. Happy anniversary, 40 Million and a Tool. As promised, I'm going to give a year-end review of the things that 40 Million and a Tool is up to. Um, things that we have put in place, outreach that we've done, and hopes for the future. So, without further ado, let me give you this information. Number one, the website development. Number two, as you can see behind me, the logo design and development. Number three, we've secured an EIN number from the IRS and attached that to what we are calling the Self Reparations Fund for short. It is actually the African American Slave Descendants Reparations Fund, but due to constraints around the application process, we are calling the fund for now simply the Self Reparations Fund. So, with that, we've established a business bank account with a local bank here in Albion, New York, Five Star Bank. I opened that account last year with $60, and it was just a demonstration of putting my money where my mouth is. If I'm asking each of us to contribute $5 per month, that was my contribution for the year. Um, so we've also, number five, applied for a trademark of the 40 million and the two logo, and that was $375, but it's still pending. Number six, we've integrated the donate button into the website 40millionandatool.com, and so donations can be given through Stripe, PayPal, debit, etc. Also, the address of the bank is on the Contact Us page if anyone wants to write a check care of the Self Reparations Fund. You can do that as well. Number seven, social media presence, which we've mentioned: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Patreon. Number eight, we did domain purchases: 40millionandatool.com, 40millionandatool.org, 40millionandatool.net. And that was just looking ahead for when we become an actual 501c3 or other designation, not for profit organization. The 40millionandatool.net is more for information dissemination around the activities of 40 Million and a Tool in general. So we have a yearly renewal of each of these domains of about $19. Number nine, HostGator is the company that provides the hosting service for 40millionandatool.com, and that's a monthly fee of $12.95. Number 10, outreach. We have made outreach to various individuals in our community. And before I list the names, I would just say that so far, only one has responded and engaged with 40 Million and a Tool, and I will give them their props in a second. We've made outreach to Mara Gay, Ice Cube, Love, aka P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, New York State Assemblyman Jeffrey Aubrey, New York City Council person, former New York State Representative Charles Barron, civil rights organizations, National Action Network / Al Sharpton, the Urban League, Mark Morial, the NAACP, Derek Johnson, and Operation Rainbow Push Coalition, Jesse Jackson Sr. We've also made outreach attempts to Kwame Brown, Boyce Watkins, Jesse Williams, the actor, Killer Mike, Chuck D, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Drake, Dave Chappelle, and Kendrick Lamar. And last but certainly not least, Deidre Farmer Palman, who is the only person, our sister, who has engaged with 40 Million and a Tool, has provided valuable guidance to us, and we are forever indebted and grateful to her for being the sister that she is. Now, some of you may not have heard of Deidre Farmer Pellman. So, for those of you who are not aware of her, she is an exceptional lawyer who almost won reparations in civil litigation for African American descendants of slaves, for black folk in general. But she did not prevail in the end. However, did achieve victories along the way, which you can find on our webpage, Stolen Wealth. Be sure to go check her out. And there's a link also to her website and organization. So these people, brothers, sisters, who we've reached out to, we understand that most of them may not have even gotten the communication that we sent. When people achieve fame and celebrity status, oftentimes they're not even the ones who handle their social media accounts and things like that. So we take that into account, but we do not cast any aspersions upon them because they have not responded to 40 Million and a Tool. We will continue our outreach to them and develop an even lengthier contact list, because they and others are people who have expressed things that suggest that they care about our people and that they understand that we as people are still not fully free. And so, if you're not free, then you're a slave. And so, what we hope is that they can view 40 million and a tool as an escape attempt, because that is what we are. And we we hope that they can embrace us and utilize their influence to help others embrace us as well. So that's the outreach. And then we have some hopes for the future. Some other initiatives we have um, that will require the assembling of our leadership council, but I will touch on a few of them just to kind of let you get a glimpse of where we're taking this movement. We want to send a communication to the United Kingdom, formerly known as England, formerly known as Great Britain, formerly known as the British Empire. And what we will suggest to them is that they should consider voluntary amends for the period of time that they were in control of the colonies and the Africans enslaved there, for which they received great wealth. So we will address this to the Queen of England, the Prime Minister, and the members of Parliament. Again, the Leadership Council will make this initiative. I mentioned State Assemblyman Jeffrey Arbery and New York City Councilman Charles Barron. The communication that we sent to Mr. Arbery was asking him to introduce a bill in the New York State Assembly a bill that would establish a mechanism for state reparations to African Americans, with the monies coming from the state lottery revenues. We will post those letters. We have them on our servers in PDF form. So I won't go into them extensively, but suffice it to say that we view state lotteries throughout this country as another theft from black folks, another source of wealth and revenue taken from black folk. Another initiative that we would have the Leadership Council pursue has to do with professional athletes. That would be the NFL, the NBA, and Major League Baseball specifically. Two fronts. One, When athletes are fined, let's say $5,000, $10,000, they get fined according to the severity of whatever transgression they engage in. We believe that these athletes should have some input as to what the league does with their fine money, what charitable organizations and causes that the league designates as worthy of some of those funds. We believe that the fined individual, the professional athlete, should also have a say in where a portion of those funds go. And we would have the leadership council ask these athletes to consider $40 million and a tool as an option. The other front would be to convince the athletes themselves to take a look at $40 million and a tool, and if it's something that they can embrace, can get on board with and support, then a creative way of generating some funds, for $40 million and a tool would be, for instance, a quarterback in the NFL would say, well, for every touchdown that I throw, I will give $100 to $40 million and a tool. For every interception that I throw, I will give $300 to $40 million and a tool. For each yard that I gain throughout the season, I will give $5 or $10 per yard. So then we transpose that over to the NBA. Let's say the same mechanism can be employed for scoring, rebounding, assists, fouls, technical fouls. That the player would designate a monetary amount for each statistic throughout the year. Baseball, I will donate $50 for each home run that I hit. I will designate X amount of dollars for a single, a double, a triple, a put out, an error, because they embrace the mission of $40 million and a tool. They deem it worthy of their financial support. And this would be a creative way of supporting it. So that we're not asking rich millionaire athletes to give us millions of dollars or to fork over, large sums of money, but to show their support in an incremental way that really doesn't affect them. But the bottom line is this: $40 million and a tool asks nothing more than $5 per month from each of us. That's the baseline. Now, those of us who can contribute more and would be willing to contribute more, then that's all well and good. Or there are other creative ways in which funds can be raised that would go to $40 million and a tool. This way, we will begin to generate substantial funds, substantial wealth to begin to build things in our communities and to increase the wealth of our communities. So, um, these are some of the ideas that we have on the back burner, as well as others. But again, it is the establishment of the Leadership Council, which would be comprised of some of these same influential individuals, athletes, entertainers, that would be making the inroads and making the contacts with other influential, noteworthy, trustworthy individuals in our community so that our people as a whole and in general will begin to view this movement as something worthy of their support as well. Now, I don't have to tell you the massive amounts of money that can be generated from small dollar donations. That's why $5 a month is the max that we ask any of us. So I'll close by saying this. There are things going on in this country that pose serious threats to our community, to our safety, to our well being. And anyone who is aware and paying attention, I don't have to explain these things in detail. But what I will say is this: we at 40 million and a tool do not want to see that as the only impetus that propels us as a people to unify and achieve the unification that we so desperately need. We would like to see our people simply embrace an idea whose time has come.